Episode 1 Umbrella Moves. This is what we created in the last episode, a tentacle. And you might say, mais putain, je veux avoir toute l'octopus. Alors, ça c'est la base model I show you how to create in the next few episodes. And if I can do it, you can certainly also do it. Should any doubts arise, just move straight past them because you deserve to be free of them. If you do not have a tentacle, don't worry, you can get one here for free. And you can also support this channel with some $. If you want to, I say thank you a lot, it helps with creating a living and making new content. Octopi come in many sorts of funky shapes and colors, and actually I'd suggest that you find a steady reference that you can commit to and then use the techniques of this video for your own version. So get your concentration, give yourself a smooch, and we should be ready. First things first, we're gonna move this bad boy to the side. Zoom in here, select the edge, and put it here so we have it right at the origin. Jackson, we need loop cuts. Here, here, and here. Select the vertice group and Ctrl I to invert it, and now we can search for the smooth vertices. You can see that it's Ctrl V, so next time we know that. Smooth this topology out so we have a little bit more even geometry. Here I repeat the step, but this is way optional, you can also skip this. I only select these edges here so it keeps the shape. So we really only smooth the vertices in the middle. Last time I learned to check in front if everything is still alright. So I can see that we maybe have to move these two vertices, but else it looks still fine and dandy. The next step is to select the edge that is flowing right through the middle. With U we can mark a seam, and with pressing V we can split our mesh. With L you can select one side, and this we can delete. I delete any modifier that is left in here, because now we're going to do this. You can right click and change a shortcut, and I think Shift-Alt-M is still free, so I'm going to use this from now on to make new modifiers. And we are going to make a beautiful mirror. Sometimes it can happen that your middle line isn't always straight. It can be a little bit crooked, just like this here. So I like to do this. Just get into position, move everything on the x-axis. Now we can enable clipping, and that should be fixed. We get back into object mode. With Shift A, we are going to create a new empty. Using custom Shift-Alt-M, we can now create an array modifier. In here we factor it out to 0 and use the object offset and make it our new empty. We can be RSet 45ing this thing, and it should look something like this. In here we can increase the count to number 8, and we already have something resembling more or less an octopus, maybe. In edit mode, select the vertices and move them outward a little bit so we can create this anus, mouth. So I decided that I want to make the arm a little bit fleshier. And I've had a long time figuring out how this is gonna work. So I thought maybe you can use Alt-S so you can see we can make it a little bit more fleshy. But the thing is, it will destroy our geometry here at the end. So instead, press Alt-Z and then you can select everything through. With B and holding Shift you can deselect the vertices here at the front. Probably you know that. And with Alt-S you actually get some options. So if you look out for this window here, you see that we can enable proportional editing. This way we can manipulate the geometry at the end without creating too much of an overlap. And if you give your tentacle one last smooth, after this, you can go a little bit beyond when using the Fleshy-Ness. whilst contemplating the geometry. The idea arose to improve it. Maybe let's do something like this. Select this edge here, and this edge right here, and also this. And this would give us some pretty decent geometry, I think. So let's just check out how many times we have to do that. No. But fortunately, we do have some funky tricks. And for them to work, we will jump here. Select the loop cut right here and press V, and we are gonna hide this tip. Then we insert two loop cuts. When holding Command and Alt button, you can click next to the center of an edge to make this kind of selection. Under Select, you will find Checker Deselect. I added to the quick favorites because we're gonna use it a lot from now on. And now we can press Q and use Checker Deselect. This part can be tricky, so be patient with yourself. Do not suffer through it, instead enjoy the challenge. Basically, I play around with the settings here until I have the right edges selected. First objective. Our landing point is the center of the cups. If we move up the edge and move to the left, we want all of these edges selected. Apparently it matters which edge you click on when making the selection, so I used the first one, and the recipe that worked for me was using 2, 1 and then playing around with the offset until I got the right result. And when you're happy, double tap G to slide. And from now on, it's going to be quite easy. So select these edges again. And it's the same game again. Make a checker deselect. And this time change the count to 1 until we have this kind of result. And then we can slide this over and it just looks something like this. Finally, select this line here. Manipulate your selection so you have only the ones in the middle selected. 2 and 1 does the trick. And slide up. What is left is to fix the stuff up here. So we can once again checker deselect. And this time we're using the code 2 and 1 and play with the offset until you get something like this. Under the select menu, we can select edge loops, and this one we don't need. And now we can dissolve these edges. Same goes for the other side. Select the edge like this, and this time we use 1 and 1 and the offset, and then we're almost done. So finally dissolve these edges and we got some fresh new geometry. Unhide the tip. There is also a loop cut missing now. On the other side, I also got some weird stuff like this. But that's no problem. I just selected the edge, dissolve it, and I should be fine. Yeah, it should be fine. I mean, it does give us some weird loop cuts in here, but I decided to roll with it. I said sometimes you have to let go and just go on with it, and later in the model it was no problem. So if you've got the same stuff, it's gonna be alright. Select everything, merge by distance, and this way we clean up the overlapping geometry. Add a new plane and scale it up. And then we can rotate it on the x-axis by 90 degrees and apply the rotation. Select the tentacle and in the mirror modifier we can now add a mirror object. And we can use this plane we just created, and look at this. Now we rotate it. And we need to rotate it on 22.5 degrees in this direction. And with this kind of setup, we can connect the tentacles in between, in the middle. You will see how we'll do this. Now, like we have established, these funky animals come in all sorts of different kinds of shapes and engaging in questionable activities. And because they do that, now might be a good time to lay out some proportions. And I'm telling you this because I didn't do it and it sucked away in the aftermath because I had to go back and fix some stuff. But what you can do is unhide all the modifiers, create a circle, and make it with 8 points. Scale it up and also face it maybe. And I mean, octopus is basically an umbrella, and here you can start playing around and look what kind of look you want to go for. Representing our head in the moment is Suzanne, so you can create one and create this kind of abomination. I don't know. This might help you get an idea of the proportions you will achieve. If I would have done that, maybe I recognize now that I want the arms to be a little bit shorter. So let me show you how to do this in a moment. Also, by pressing D and keeping it pressed, you can draw, so you can use this to visualize. And you can delete these annotations right here. If you are happy with your layout, you can zoom right here. Yes, exactly. And then select the edge you want the umbrella to start and press V to split it. If you select this edge loop, you will select just the part in here, and we can delete this, just the faces. We don't need this anymore, so you can delete it. Next up, I'll show you how you can shorten the arm. If you don't want to see this, just press here. Okay, let me show you how this will be done. First, hide your wife, hide your children. Then we can jump into the tentacle. From the segment you want to cut out, make sure that you cut it by this edge right here, like one in the middle. And of course, same for the other side. Once you have your selection, delete by faces. The only trick here is to scale it by a point which lies on the y-axis, so this way it will fit right onto the other end. And you can get a point like this if you select this edge and snap the cursor to the selected. Now the 3D cursor will lie on the y-axis, and if we scale by the 3D cursor, it will fit fine onto the other end. So let me move this here and scale it up a little bit. And this you can just do by eye. When you have it, make this kind of selection and merge the vertices. Be sure you merge all of them, so you may have to increase the distance here. We are ready for a move, so select these edges here and jump to the top view. Pressing period, you can change your pivot location to 3D cursor, extrude, and press escape again, and then you can do this with rotation. Ooh. And here it is, our umbrella. Damn. Okay, what's left to do is to turn it around, because apparently we built it upside down. So just turn everything. And we also make a slight angle, so take this, rotate it a little bit, and then we see us in the next episode. Bye bye. Oh, and when you do this angle, check the underside to see if the tentacles are spread out far enough. Otherwise, you may have to move them out a little bit. See ya.